Now we pass from the German lakes to the libraries, I would say, or to the history at King's College London. And we are really pleased to have Nilo Pedrazzini from King's College London. Unfortunately, Barbara McGillivray was not able to join, but Nilo will present the project that was also awarded for this prize. The project is called Language of Mechanization, and basically you have tried to have this intersection between history, computational linguistics, data science, library science, and see in a way how we can use historical digitized records also to analyze the impact that mechanization had on the life of the British people with the industrialization of the society. So please, Nilo, the floor is yours.
Just gonna quickly test this. Does it work at all? Yeah, okay, perfect. Right, okay, so hi everyone. So my name is Nilo Pedrazzini, and as he said, I'm one of the researchers in the Language of Mechanization project led by Barbara McGillivray, who couldn't be here. Unfortunately, she had teaching commitments, so I'm very sorry about that. I'm also based at the Alan Turing Institute, which is the UK Institute for Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. The other project members are mainly based at the British Library, except from Professor John Lawrence, who is based both at the Turing and the University of Exeter. So the language of mechanization was conceived as an experiment in radically interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary collaboration at the intersection of between history, computational linguistics, data science, library science, and research software engineer. It started in 2018 and it's going to end in 2023. It's a work package actually, which is part of a much larger umbrella project called Living with Machines, which aims to leverage the potential of historical digitized records to kind of analyze the impact of mechanization on the lives of ordinary people during Britain's rapid transformation, let's say, into an industrial society. In the Language of Mechanization project specifically, we wanted to answer overarching questions such as: how was the relationship between humans and machines discussed and conceptualized at the time? And how did the radical changes in society relate to linguistic changes? And these are actually particularly complex topics to analyze quantitatively. The mechanization of production processes was not a linear phenomenon, and historians are not in agreement regarding its pace and its nature. And the material we work on spans more than a century, covering the whole of the 1800s, which means that language changed from the very first to the last sources, and variation across registers, social class, geography, in addition to change over time, are complexities that obviously require a deep engagement with historical scholarship. At the same time, the British newspaper archive, which is the main corpus we based our research on, hosts almost 53 million pages, and this kind of huge size goes well beyond the scale at which historical research is normally conducted. And this obviously posed substantial infrastructural and methodological challenges and required advanced computational methods to be fully capitalized on. So our research aims to be not only data-driven approach to history, but also a human-centered approach to data science, if that makes sense. So to achieve this, we built a collaborative research approach that is iterative, self-reflexive, and is designed to evolve, where historical research questions drive the development of computational methods and infrastructure. But at the same time, we made original contributions to computational science research and engage the public in the research process. Maybe some of you have grasped it already, but the basic approach owes much to the agile project management principle. So we work in sprints, which in our case are spans of 2-week time, where the team works towards a shorter term deadline consisting of an achievable, feasible task, And at the end of each sprint, the team meets and plans for the following sprint, each time incorporating the feedback from the entire team. And this ensures that the ideas and perspectives of different researchers from different backgrounds are taken into account at each step of the way. And each team member contributes to the design and delivery of the project as a radically interdisciplinary effort. So this way, the project is not designed from start to end, but it constantly evolves and reflects on its own method, changing it slightly or radically depending on the feedback received at every sprint, every 2 weeks. And because of the variety of backgrounds of the researchers involved, documentation and open practices are crucial to make sure that every member can give feedback and provide original ideas, even if the exact methodology employed across different tasks are maybe out of their comfort zone. We built on the previous extensive interdisciplinary experience of the team and often had to overcome sort of assumptions on about how research is done, shared or communicated. For example, multiple authorship in history is actually quite rare. And code and data papers, for example, are still undercredited in academia in general. But in an effort that sort of predated my involvement in the project, different team members implemented an authorship model that would ensure proper credit to all aspects of the research project. And they also created a so-called project charter to facilitate a common understanding of our research practices, address the issues they anticipated may arise, and I think most importantly, they made all efforts not to use discipline-specific jargon, which can be very difficult. And also in line with the open science movement regarding code and data papers, particularly at the intersection of humanities and data science, our research outputs do not only include traditional academic peer-reviewed publications, but also data sets, data papers, code, and also actually blog posts and podcasts have helped us reach non-academic audiences. I'm just going to briefly now show you a couple of examples of kind of sub-project within Living with Machine. So in the Living Machine sub-project, we wanted to understand how technological change was received by ordinary people in the long 19th century. And to narrow this overall question down to a feasible task, we developed a new approach to formulating historical research questions that could be answered with data science via what the team members called hypothesis generation group sessions, the result of which you can glimpse at in this GitHub board. At the end of the process, a more specific question was selected, namely, in this case, to what extent were machines seen as autonomous agents, like thinking, for example, of sentences like, the steam engine changed the world. The team decided to attempt training an algorithm that would help automatically detect so-called atypical animacy, for example, the animacy attributed to a machine in historical text. And in this graph, I kind of tried to capture the interconnection between the contribution made by different project members. You don't need to understand every single step of the process, but this is just to give you an idea of how project members with quite different disciplinary expertise contribute to the same research question. So historians, for example, contributed to the interpretation and contextualization of our historical data. And together with our library professionals and digital humanists, they worked on the creation of a new annotated data set containing several examples of atypical animacy. And computational linguists provided the methodological framework, and together with the research software engineers, they made sure that the code associated with the algorithm was developed following best software development practices, sort of. Another example is When Time Makes Sense. It's another sub-project where the team aimed to answer a question at the intersection of conceptual history, lexicology, and historical information retrieval. Namely, how can we automatically associate the most likely meaning of polysemous words, meaning words with many senses, for example, machine or engine, with a given historical context of use. So no previous research on word sense disambiguation had taken a historical perspective, so we trained a new algorithm for meaning disambiguation on the Oxford English Dictionary, which contains time-stamped quotations for every sense a word has or has had in history. And in a similar vein to the previous project, project members from different backgrounds contributed in different ways. So computational linguists contributed to the design of the NLP and information retrieval methodology. Digital humanists worked mainly on selecting relevant senses from the Oxford English Dictionary and merging those that were too specific for our purposes. Then historians contributed to the annotation of the data and contextualized the historical results. And once again, research software engineers made sure that any computational methods followed best practices in software development. Finally, in the Machines in the Media, we wanted to explore the question, what did people in the 19th century mean when they read words like machine or train or coach or match, railway and traffic? But we wanted to do so by understanding how practitioners outside of academia can support the development of algorithms to answer this question. So we asked the public to engage in a large voluntary crowdsourcing annotation exercise and to label text snippets from our data with the most appropriate meaning of the word machine, for example, based on categories, again, derived from the Oxford English Dictionary. And this is actually meant to advance different disciplines simultaneously. We have, on the one hand, the annotated sentences can be used as a source of quantitative analysis, but also as training data to optimize the word senses ambiguation algorithm developed in the previous subproject, so when time makes sense. On the other hand, it is an extremely useful way as well of understanding how non-academic communities, so-called citizens in citizen science, can be involved in answering large-scale, highly specialized research questions. And finally, it also allows us to develop methods to tackle the significant infrastructural and research software engineering challenges due to the large size of the data sets and the fact that it involves not only experts, but also the general population. So I'm almost done. To tackle the latter in particular, software engineers in the team built this tool called DIFO, a toolbox that enables historical research at scale and incorporated the data provided by DIFO into other visualizations frameworks, for example, Observable, to facilitate further data exploration for the historians in the team. So kind of this constitutes a bridge between technical knowledge and exploratory sort of research for everyone. And then just as a very last thing, I'd like to mention that in addition to the academic papers, code and data sets produced by the project, some of the project members actually planned and curated another major output, but this time an exhibition, so talking about non-traditional outputs, which was launched in July 2022. And this is actually critical for the project's plan to engage with the public, but I think most crucially and innovatively, it also includes the results of our work with crowdsourcing as a form of public engagement. So it includes essentially these results and linguistic work in animated or interactive visualizations, highlighting how mechanization changed lives in Britain in the long 19th century, with a specific view on workers' lives in Leeds, where the exhibitions took place. And yeah, these are some of the main publications of the Language of Mechanization project. If anyone is interested, I can send you the slide, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nilo. Again, very inspiring. And again, I really like the focus that you give also as Robert on the community engagement and how we can also work on citizen science. Honestly, in fact, I'm not a scientist at all, I'm not a researcher, but it's the first time that I heard more about citizen science, and an interesting concept also, and it could be inspiring for the future. So thanks again.